Are your characters interesting, compelling, insanely fun to watch? If you're role-playing, writing RPG games, or writing stories and novels, you're gonna need amazing characters. Here's 5 tips on how to create them. Let's light up the forge. Greetings and salutations. I'm Janet from World Anvil, and here are 5 tips for creating compelling characters. Check out the blog for even more information on this, and make sure you stick around for the challenge. Yes, we have added challenges to our videos so you can put what you've learned from them into practice immediately, and make sure that it's really helping you create better characters, world build more engaging settings, and generally do the thing. Tip number 1 for creating interesting characters. Decide what they're good at. Even if your character is an everyman or an average Joe, they should have something going for them. They should be good at something. For some heroes, especially superheroes, this is really easy. Aquaman talks with fish. Superman is good at literally everything. For RPG characters, especially player characters, this isn't so tricky because the system automatically gives you feats, class traits, spells, all that kind of stuff that allows you to be good at something. The whole system is geared that way. But for writers, especially writers using the everyman kind of hero, the temptation is to make our main characters a little bland, a little beige, just to show how ordinary they are. But even ordinary or everyman heroes need a trait, a positive skill. Dr. Watson isn't as special as Sherlock Holmes, but he is a trained medical professional. Sokka from The Last Airbender is the only character in the group that is not magical. They are not special. But even Sokka is great at fighting, and he gets better throughout the series. That's part of his character arc. By giving characters a positive skill set, even if it's something mundane like medicine or plumbing or stabbing things with a sword, you're not just giving them an area that they can thrive in. You're also giving them a frame of reference and a way for them to approach problems and look at the world. It even gives us more insight into their backstory because somewhere along the line they have picked up this training. That's a great character cue all by itself. And finally, it allows your character to be active within a scene. They can be doing something, even if they're patching somebody up in the corner while the big fight goes on over there. That means that they are always with agency, and it makes them fun to watch and to play and to be a part of. Which brings me to tip number 2, make them active and give them agency. The characters who are the most fun to watch are not always the ones that get everything right, but they are the ones who keep trying things and keep moving forward through the story. Instead of having your character just react to what's going on around them, make sure that they are making decisions. Even if those decisions are poor decisions. Actually, especially if those decisions are poor decisions. That tells us a lot about the character, and it leaves a lot of room for interesting drama to unfold. For both writers and RPG characters, this is super important. Your characters must be engaging with the world around them and making decisions which make things move forward. Whether your character is making meticulous plans before they act or just rushing headlong into battle, they should be making active decisions that engage with the story and move the plot forward. And by the way, in a novel setting, this does not just go for the main character. If a sidekick is kidnapped, it's the oldest plot in the book for sidekicks, make sure that they are actively trying to escape. The same goes for RPG characters. When the party is separated, every character still has agency. Every character is still trying to do something, and that makes them interesting to watch, fun to play alongside in a game, and also fun to play as well. Tip number 3 is give them a flaw, or 2, or 3. One of the most compelling things about characters are their flaws. And if you're worried about making a Mary Sue character, a character who's like good at everything, then flaws are a really great way not just to, change up that, but also to bring complexity to a character. A flaw can be minor, like a minor phobia or a minor character flaw. Snark is a very popular one right now. Or a flaw can be more serious. Dig into the 7 deadly sins for inspiration on this. That is a great jumping off point for looking at flaws in characters. Whatever flaw you choose, though, it should be something that the heroes are encountering within the course of the story, the novel, the adventure, what have you. If your characters are afraid of giant, lesser spotted dingbats and they never crop up, it's not really much of a character flaw. So make sure it's something that they will actually encounter, and if you're an RPG player, tell your GM what your flaw is so that you can work that into the course of the adventure as well. Flaws definitely shouldn't be seen as a negative thing for a role player or for a writer. They are a wonderful way of jumping into character, experiencing that character, and having the rest of the party come to your aid, which is what role-playing and, group stories are all about. Flaws are also a great opportunity for a character arc, but be careful. Some iconic heroes have flaws that you would not want them to overcome. Sherlock Holmes will always be arrogant. Deadpool will always be reckless. And Wolverine will always be absolutely freaking terrible at teamwork. These kinds of flaws are baked into a character personality, and if they are removed, they will actually make the hero less fun to watch. So by all means, have a hero learn a lesson in a short term, but in the long term, make sure that you don't remove flaws that are an integral part of a character's personality. And if you have an active RPG character who hasn't got much of a flaw, and you're thinking, nice role-playing opportunity, then here's a tip. Think through your last few sessions or your last adventure and choose a traumatic event that happened to this character. Combine that trauma with what you know of their backstory and start to introduce a flaw that is related to those events. Phobias, night terrors, and hair trigger anger are all common reactions to past trauma. And this is going to allow you not just to develop your character into a deeper, more complex personality, but also to really dig into your backstory as well. The same trick works if you have a character in a book or story who's feeling a little bit flat. Dig into what might have happened to them and dig into their further background and link the two up to create a flaw that's going to make them really jump off the page. Tip number 4 for creating interesting characters is give them a motivation, or 2, or 3, or more. So this has always been my own personal Achilles heel. What does your character want? In concrete terms, please. Your character's motivation might have nothing to do with the main quest, but they've been swept along in it. Or it may be an integral part of what's going on right now in the world or happening to them. But some way or another, your main character, your roleplay character, or your NPCs, actually everyone in the entire world, should have some kind of motivation, and usually it's to make their own life better in some way. Even if that way is super misguided. Here's a great quote from Save the Cat Writes a Novel. Ask yourself, what does my main character want in life? The most effective character goals, or wants, are concrete and tangible, like a new house, a new car, a passage to a new country, magical powers, or escape from prison. To jump into the sci-fi fantasy space to expand on that, you might also consider escape from an illicit organization, to become an archmage, or to buy a family member out of debtor's prison. Giving your hero problems in addition to the main quest or catalyst or adventure doesn't just make the story more engaging, it also makes your hero more engaging. It gives them something to think about in downtime, something to strive towards. It gives them secrets and reasons to accrue power, money, and fame. It may cause conflicts if two things that they want are in opposite directions for them. And all of these things are going to make your characters more interesting and compelling too. Of course, if you want to keep track of these motivations or of your characters, make sure you check out World Anvil. Our RPG character manager helps you keep track of all of the character information. You can write journals, post status updates, as well as being able to track equipment, stats, health, spells, and everything else that you need. And our character template is absolutely full of prompts to help you develop your characters, link them to everything else in your world, and keep track of exactly what they want and how they plan to get it. Tip number 5 for creating compelling characters is give them a backstory, epic or tragic. Make it dramatic. Sometimes the backstory comes before the character idea. Sometimes it comes to justify your character idea, their strengths, their flaws. Either way, working out your character's backstory is absolute gold in terms of creating nuanced, interesting, and compelling characters, whether they're for RPG games or for novels. After all, we are the sum of our experiences, our education and our upbringing, our religion and our society. Whether we go towards them and agree with all of their tenets or we rebel against them, they absolutely define who we are. As you're building your backstory, make sure you focus on those elements: upbringing and family, education, religion, morality, failures and successes. All of these are super important moments which can help give your character interest and nuance, and will also define their values and their motivations. And in addition, it also gives you so much fuel for future conflict. As a writer, you can use past hurts and reflect them to create even more trauma for your character, because we like to dump on our main characters. Yes, we do. And as an RPG player, make sure you share this information with your GM. The colloquial term is giving your GM knives to stab you with. But that all makes for such an engaging campaign. If your long-lost sister suddenly turns up
and invites you on a quest, but then it turns out they're not them because they're being manipulated. But then it turns out that it was actually the big bad who was holding your sister, who wasn't lost, she was kidnapped. Except she wasn't kidnapped, but she decided to go with them.
There are so many twists and turns in a story that you can make when somebody beloved is involved. And the player will follow along because they love this character. They've built them into their backstory. Either way, backgrounds are a great way to create motivations for your character as well. You can spur your heroes into action by capturing one of their loved ones or their family members, or even giving them an opportunity to get revenge on an old enemy, or one-up an old rival. This is a great way to show the past of the hero, how it has affected them in the present, and show how it will change them in the future as well. It's that whole character arc, guys. You gotta love it. Alright, sweet beans, it's challenge time! So we've been adding challenges to these videos because you guys have been so positive about our world building prompts on the website and our flash challenges and community challenges that we run over on World Anvil. So your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is create a new hero in your world from the past. They can be historical or mythical in your world, and use these 5 tips to describe what makes them compelling. I chose this assignment because it shouldn't mess with anything that you've got on the boil now. It doesn't mess with any heroes that you're either playing or writing about. But it should be a great opportunity to really dig into what makes a hero compelling and fun to watch or read or play. And if you fall in love with them, why not make them the subject of an in-world myth, a short story, or a spin-off campaign? You can submit your challenge on World Anvil using the URL in the description, and if you follow that link, you should be able to see other people's entries too if they have chosen to make them public. So lots of inspiration to be had there. Make sure you share your top tips for characteristics of heroes and what makes them interesting and compelling in the comments. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, or if it made you think, then please slam that like button and make sure you're subscribed for more world building advice and World Anvil tutorials. Now grab your hammer and go world build.